Hello, welcome to my ARC video. In this I'm going to show you how ridiculously overpowered griffins are, and how we utilized that in my tribe of 6 to hatch dozens and dozens of really powerful wyverns. I call them wyverns. I know that wyvern is correct, but that's stupid. They're not mythical, so yeah, wyverns or dragons. Anyway, in this video I'm going to show you how we stole all the eggs, how to dogfight with griffins successfully, where all this is happening, how to do it very efficiently. We've been doing it for a few weeks now and we've got a good system down, so I want to kind of share that and see what other people think about it. So first of all, where we are on the map. This is our hatchery right here. This cave is over in the highlands. I'll show you where we are without using coordinates because I know that they don't help some people so much. So getting an aerial view, we're relatively close to the red obelisk. I'll give you some parameters here. So over to my right, that's the blue obelisk way off there. The red is right here. So we're right where all these biomes come together. So coming in from the ocean, you look for these little creeks, I guess, and most of them dead end at waterfalls, but this one, I'll show you right here, is one of the bigger waterfalls. It's pretty obvious that you can go through it. I've never had anything spawn near here that was hostile, no issues of that kind ever. So we decided to build our hatchery here, and we did it on the cheap, and it has served us really well. It doesn't have to cost you a lot of mats. So we did 4 AC units, a lot of wall torches, a couple of fireplaces, and the wall torches go a long way with spark powder, like many hours. So over the last 2 weeks or so, this is our haul. Anything under 165 we just ate, so pretty much everything in here should be much higher than that actually. Most of them are 175s or higher. Good haul for a couple of weeks. This guy goes over to, he goes here. You go here! Anyway, so if you're gonna hatch wyverns, you're gonna need wyvern milk. They don't use kibble, but just wyvern milk. And that can only go in preserving bins, so you need preserving salt. If you have that, it'll make the milk last about 10 hours, so you won't have to go back and forth for milk very often. So make sure you've got a lot of salt ready, and obviously spark powder. But yeah, this is a great place to do this. I strongly recommend this area for doing this. So let me take you out to where we dogfight them, and also where we capture them to squeeze their teats, get that precious milk. So over here by the scar. Okay, so a little bit on dogfighting first. Don't do this where you fly straight up and you turn and fly straight down. That seems like the way you would do it, but don't freaking do that. Aim your camera down, hold S as in backwards, and sprint. We've tested this a lot of times. You fly at the same speed as if you were facing up, but you can go immediately into a dive. You don't have to turn your body over to be facing down and go into a dive. So you can just do repeated dives that way. So do that as much as possible. Okay, so here's our first dogfighting scenario. I'm playing it really careful just to kind of show the area and the mechanics. We're down into what we call the shorter scar, and I'm right inside what we call the skylight. It's really easy to escape here if things get hairy. You just fly straight up, and a lot of the time wyverns will get stuck on the ceiling, and it's great. So here I'm actually going to snag an egg and just see what aggroes. Egg aggro sometimes is super ridiculous, and yeah. So we'll see. Just fly straight up out of the skylight. Doesn't look like much is chasing me. I'm just gonna check the level of the egg. See, yeah, that's pretty good. Okay, so there's a lightning wyvern. So you're gonna, dive and try to hit him in the belly. You try to go underneath him to get hits because most of the breath weapons will go over you if you do it that way. And also, remember that griffins can move laterally, they can strafe. So if you go underneath a body and you strafe, virtually nothing can hit you. There might be times when you're fighting 4 or 5 at once that something hits you, But yeah, with that, pretty much the shape of all their AoEs and missiles should all miss you. If you don't feel comfortable with egg aggro, bring in a crappy crossbow or pistol or whatever's handy. You can shoot off the back of griffins, and you can pull one at a time this way, especially the stuff like this guy that was hung up on some of the geometry. It's a good way to pull them out of that. So let's see. He comes up out. Poison you have to be super careful with, because if they do hit either you or your griffin with their breath weapon, it's a spherical AoE, and it will kill your player almost instantly. It does a lot of damage to your player. So be really careful of them. Notice what you're doing with them at all times. Okay, this is where it gets really fun. This is kind of to the point that we were after a day or two of learning to dogfight. I would just fly through the cavern, pull as much as I could, just body pull, or if there's a lot of stuff, just grab an egg and run like hell. But notice here, strafing, I haven't been hit by a breath weapon yet, and they didn't chomp me at all either. So again, strafing, trying to go underneath most of them. And you can tell I tend to just swing to the left every time. That doesn't matter, it's just what's more comfortable for me. This griffin has really good stats. He's not anything super amazing, like his carry weight's garbage. I had to put a lot of points in stamina, but his damage and his health are really high, so he's perfect for this. So yeah, there was 4 or 5 wyverns. I didn't get hit once. I've taken some damage, but from something else. This is the best XP you can ask for, too. So now we're going to move on to capturing wyverns. This is important for squeezing them teats and getting the milk, which you'll need for hatching them. So this is an area with 2 catching pens. You'll notice they're built with a window in the back, and that's so that your pteranodon or griffin or whatever you're using can fly through, just straight through. So here's a female poison that I had just scoped out a few minutes earlier. So I'm just going to body pull it. You don't want to use a weapon to pull it because you don't want to do any unnecessary damage. Don't want to kill it when you're trying to trank it. Like, we mostly use arrows, and they do a lot of damage. So I'm bringing him back over to the pens. You got to be really mindful of them. Like, you don't want them close to you, but at the same time, you don't want them pulling aggro on anything else. They, as everything else, they will aggro whatever's closest. So right here, it's likely that they fly off and find a pteranodon or a gallimimus or whatever. So right here, keep them close, keep them really low to the ground is the other things. Otherwise, they'll slip out or get stuck on the gate. So right here, fly straight through. I had someone working the door. You can do this by yourself. It's a little scary, but my friend Jake works the door. He starts tranking it out. Like I said, no matter what level they are, you can use trank arrows, and that'll be fine. So I would recommend doing that, especially if you're going to be doing this a lot. They usually go down pretty fast too. I feel like their torpor stat's not very high. So he's just plugging away at that, and I'm going to run in and grab the milk as soon as it's down. And then you want to run that back to a preserving bin as quickly as possible. Throw it on your mount in the meantime. I don't think I do that in this clip, but you should. Do as I say. So he'll drop it here in just a second, and then you get 5 milk every time you drop a female, regardless of its level. You get 50 milk if you kill an alpha. So if you're able to and you've got people to help, that is absolutely the best way. If you're hatching multiple wyverns at once and you're going to need a lot of milk in a shorter period of time, that's absolutely what to do.
If I wait for it to wake up and trank it again, is that a thing?
So yeah, you can trank out the dragon and leave it there in a pen. As long as you don't go out of render distance, it will stay in the pen. And then once every hour, you can trank it out again and get 5 more milk. So if you have someone that can AFK around your catching pens, that's a great strategy. But if not, try to down an alpha, or just use these really low-level females. Kill off males that you see as often as you can. And yeah, I mean, hatching should be super easy at that point. So that's pretty much it. After a couple runs of getting milk and killing an alpha, this is what came of it. I think we hatched about 34 wyverns, like all within 12 hours of each other, maybe even less. And yeah, all of them survived just fine. A couple of them got really terrific stat distribution. But yeah, if you have any questions about how any of this happened, let me know. I'd be happy to answer. Thanks.
I am now going to build an artifact deck.
You're a bad person.
I guess I could turn my own crosshairs off, huh?
Yeah, please do. Never make a comment like that again.
Freedom or shelter.
And toilet paper. I mean, toilet paper is really. I mean, if I was a slave but I had toilet paper, I don't know.